What's up, everybody? Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Agent Evolution Show. So today what I want to share with you is a little notice that I had, and it's this. Are you your toughest critic? So a number of years ago, I used to pride myself and have a lot of joy in the fact that nobody could expect more from me than I could expect from myself. And I was so very super hard on myself to succeed and perform, be consistent, and all these things. And for a lot of part, at my current level of ignorance at that time, I thought it served me really well. It kept me focused on what mattered to me at that time to stay in action and stay in motion down my path. However, fast forwarding a number of years, like 5 years, what I've noticed, especially over the last 2 weeks for me about self-beat up is this. It's a real slippery slope. Like as soon as I started, I didn't even have the awareness that it was becoming more and more prevalent. So for example, there was a couple conversations I wanted to have with a few people, yet these conversations, because of the topic and the nature, were not something I was excited about. And the beat up came because I was having more and more hesitation to find the right time to have that those conversations with those couple of people. And the longer it took me, the more I hesitated waiting to find the right time, the more I started to beat myself up about, why aren't you voicing your opinion? And don't you matter? And all these kinds of emotions were coming up. Well, then guess what? Because I was beating myself up about that, I found a whole bunch of other reasons and evidence to further beat myself up. And the next thing you know, over the course of about a week and a half, what I've noticed now, about 2 days ago, is a point of reference of how low my vibration was going with that internal battle going on putting myself down. How come you didn't do this? How come you didn't do that? Why didn't you say this? Why didn't you address that? Like all these things. And so what I'm noticing is that the harder I am on myself, the more things I find to be hard on myself about. And what's even worse is the harder I am on myself, the more judgment I have, the more judgment I start projecting onto others, finding faults with them. And that doesn't serve me well at all, or those other people. So I know a lot of people, especially that are self-employed, that own a job or own a business, are really hard on themselves. And I gotta ask, for the sake of what? What benefit are you getting from being so hard? Can you still accomplish the same thing called attention and focus on what's important and a priority without the negative part of the beat up? Because what I've noticed for me is the more I beat myself up and the lower my vibration goes and the harder it is to shift. So really, where do you want to be? Do you want to increase your vibration? And look at the mistakes you've made as learning opportunities, as gifts. That would take a positive perspective. That would take a perspective of, I love myself and I'm looking for opportunities to grow. Beautiful expressions through my experience, right? Building new evidence. So what are those lenses you're having on, and what are you choosing to be right about with the beat up? Does it really serve you your highest and best good? Or may there be another way to look at the situation? Because clearly I'm not saying if you make a mistake or there's an area of improvement and it's uncomfortable, I'm not saying you sweep it under the rug and move on. I am saying address it. However, what is the space I am coming from when I'm addressing that issue with myself? Is it joy, love, and abundance? Or is it pain, struggle, beat up, not enough, unworthy, not deserving? So just some notices to give you some context around, notice what you're noticing about the thoughts you have and hold of yourself. Because as I'm sure you all know, when you're not in a good space how you're feeling towards yourself, that means you go outside of yourself into your world, into your family, your social network, your circles, and you're really nice to them coming from that space, or not so much. Again, as within, so without. Everything in our reality is being outpictured by what's going on the inside. So if you really want to be mindful of yourself, to give yourself an opportunity to succeed more often and just be overall happier, reframe that context with beat up from a space of love, optimism, and opportunities for improvement. So again, I'm not saying don't address the situation that caused the beat up, yet what does your come from? What is the space you want to hold for yourself and therefore everybody else around you in your external reality? So kind of a ramble today, but it really just hit hard for me as the notice, and then to make that shift, and instantly what happened to my energy, my vibration shot back through the roof. Started feeling that inner joy, that excitement, just a zest for life, and not dependent upon anything external happening as a result, because that would be outpictured by what's going on the inside. So if you just notice what you're noticing about your internal state, your vibration, your joy, love, and abundance, or your pain and struggle, and what's causing it, what's that self-talk going on that may be hindering your vibration. So as I end every Agent Evolution video with, who you surround yourself with matters. Are you surrounding yourself with critical people that are always putting themselves down for not being enough? Or are you surrounding yourself with people that celebrate their greatness and learn how to switch often? So I hope this video brought you some value, and I hope you can reframe your relationship with the self beat up and turn that into self-love so that you can then offer that to everybody else in your reality and your circles. So thanks so much for watching. Make it a great